What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Gilbert Burns accuses BMF Jorge Masvidal of turning down fight. After former title challenger Gilbert Burns dropped a narrow decision to Khamzat Chimaev earlier this year, he found himself in an interesting place. The close fight with Chimaev didn't tank his stock, and with a top 5 spot in the welterweight rankings, he remained just a few fights away from a title shot. The question was, who should the former Jiu-Jitsu world champion fight? There was the possibility of a fight with Colby Covington for that #1 contender spot and a fight with Jorge Masvidal, both of which seemed to intrigue fans. Covington's status was unknown at the time after he allegedly sustained injuries after being jumped by Masvidal in Florida. On the other hand, if Masvidal managed to avoid serving time for the alleged assault, there was a great opportunity to fight Burns in a highly anticipated showdown. According to Burns, Masvidal wants nothing to do with that fight. He took to Twitter recently to reveal that the UFC offered him a fight with Masvidal 3 times, and each time the BMF allegedly came up with a reason not to fight. Just letting everyone know that UFC offered me game-bred fighter Jorge Masvidal 3 times. First time was for November 12th, he said he needs more time. Second time for December 10th, he said he was going to Brazil to fight me. And now he just said no again, so I guess the B from his BMF. So far, no word yet from Masvidal. However, considering the outspoken nature of the BMF, he'll likely fire shots back at Burns when the opportunity presents itself. Do you want to see these 2 welterweight contenders fight, or should Burns look to fight someone higher ranked than Masvidal? Give us your thoughts in the comments section below. Khamzat Chimaev calls out newly crowned champion Alex Pereira. When Alex Pereira finished Israel Adesanya in the main event of UFC 281, there was immediately a sense that the UFC's middleweight division was blown wide open. Fighters like Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori, who both had lost to the last stylebender twice, suddenly had a route back to another title shot. Unsurprisingly, fighters were quick to call out the newly crowned champion, specifically streaking 2-division contender Khamzat Chimaev. He believes it's time for him to get a title shot. He took to Instagram and Twitter to fire off a slew of posts calling out Pereira, taunting the former 2-division Glory kickboxing champion. "This guy did fight for the belt with a 6-1 record. Let me smash him. I have a record 12-0. Let's go, brother. Make it happen, Dana White, in Brazil." As many have continued to point out, Pereira did seem to struggle somewhat with the grappling of Adesanya throughout the fight. In addition to finding himself stuck in bottom position, he was also repeatedly reversed and controlled while clinching against the cage with the last stylebender as well. The way some see things, if someone like Adesanya, who isn't known for their striking, was able to get the best of Pereira during grappling exchanges, then what would someone like Chimaev or Robert Whittaker do? As it stands right now, it seems as though fight fans will have to wait before receiving an answer to that question. By the looks of things, the UFC is eyeing another fight between the 2 men where Adesanya will look to get revenge and finally capture an elusive win over his longtime rival. Jon Jones weighs in on Dominick Reyes' losing streak following latest knockout. Dominick Reyes has had a rough couple of years inside the octagon. Back in 2020, an undefeated Reyes stepped into the octagon with Jon Jones for a highly anticipated showdown. Throughout the course of that fight, it seemed as though Reyes found success while striking with Jones, leading many to that conclusion that when the scorecards were read, they were probably going to go in his favor. The way many fight fans scored things, Jones' time as a 205-pound champion was likely coming to an end. As it turns out, that wasn't the case. The fight was scored as a decision win for Jones, who went on to relinquish the belt the following summer. After the crushing loss, Reyes was given the opportunity to compete for the vacant belt. When he fought Jan Blachowicz at the end of 2020, Reyes was TKO'd. The bad string of luck didn't end there. Reyes was then knocked out in a #1 contender fight against Jiří Procházka the following year. After another knockout loss this past weekend, Jones weighed in on the state of Reyes' career while doing a Q&A on Twitter. The way Jones sees things, he didn't take Reyes' confidence like many have stated. At the same time, he expressed concern for his former opponent's health after suffering 3 straight knockouts in the span of 2 years. When it came to some advice for Reyes, the former pound-for-pound kingpin echoed advice that Reyes had once given to Jones: either get back in the game or stay on the sidelines for good. For his part, Reyes has taken the loss in stride. After the fight, he took to social media to reveal that he's in good spirits and simply rushed things when he was in the octagon. In addition, Reyes also told his fans that he'd be back, indicating he has no plans to call it a career after 4 straight losses. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Israel Adesanya explains frustration with stoppage in Pereira fight. In the main event of UFC 281, Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira went to war. The two men battled it out over the course of nearly 5 rounds, with each scoring their fair share of significant strikes. Going into the 5th round, however, Pereira's corner was honest with him that if he wanted to leave New York with the 185-pound title, he must get the finish. Like a scene out of a movie, Pereira entered the 5th round with newfound energy, pushing the pace as he began to empty the tank in search of a finish. After landing clean and dropping the champ, the former 2-division Glory kickboxing champion swarmed in with a barrage of punches that forced referee Mark Goddard to stop the fight. Although many people didn't have a problem with the stoppage, given the fact that Adesanya had been dropped and already eaten several big punches, others felt as though he should have been given the opportunity to recover even though things weren't going his way. Considering the fact that Adesanya immediately seemed to protest the stoppage after the fight, it's no surprise he wishes the fight had been allowed to go on for a little bit longer. He spoke on Monday's edition of the MMA Hour saying,
"And I watched the sequence again. I watched it and I was just like, head down. When I have my head down, I'm still looking at him. I can see the knees cutting. People were like, oh, what if the knee came up? I'm looking at his feet and I'm looking at his arms. I couldn't see his head, but when I know where your arms and feet are, I know where your head is. But I was just trying to like, okay, keep it moving. And when he stopped, the first thing I go is, I'm fine, ref.
Right.
I'm fine. What the hell?
What did you think of the stoppage? Did you think Adesanya was out on his feet? Or did Mark Goddard stop the fight at the right time? Give us your thoughts in the comments below. And now for our breaking news story of the day.
Well, I was doing interviews with people after they got knocked unconscious. It's not a good time to interview people. They make mistakes because, like, you just had your brain shut off. Like, so maybe they think they won a fight, or maybe they think something. They don't know what the just happened. And there's varying degrees of that. Like, you can pretend, oh, he knows, he's playing dumb. But you have zero idea what's going on in a person's brain unless you are them and you have been knocked out.
Did they have a policy of like not doing that anymore, or you still do it?
Well, I said I won't do it, and then I up and did it with Daniel Cormier, but I was so confused in that fight. I haven't done any like knockouts interviews since, but I think I did a couple of TKOs. It's a judgment call.
New York Athletic Commission released a statement on scorecard controversy. On the UFC 281 preliminary card, former women's title challenger Karolina Kowalkiewicz picked up her 2nd straight win after defeating Silvana Gomez Juarez. Despite what many thought was a pretty clear 2-1 win for Kowalkiewicz over Gomez Juarez, prior to the reading of the judge's decision, things took a strange turn. An official from the New York State Athletic Commission entered the octagon and took the scorecard from Bruce Buffer. While holding the scorecard up against the cage, the official began to make some changes to the scorecard. As the camera zoomed in and the commentary team questioned what was going on, fight fans were already getting to work taking screenshots of the strange scene. Things only got weirder from there, as the official took the scorecard outside of the cage and began to confer with several other officials before more changes were made to the card. When Bruce Buffer got the scorecard back and returned to the octagon, nobody was quite sure what was about to take place. Was Kowalkiewicz about to get the decision she seemingly earned, or was there about to be an upset in New York? Although Kowalkiewicz was awarded the win, the controversy with the scorecards continued this week. MMA Junkie went to work and obtained a statement from the New York State Athletic Commission, as well as a copy of the scorecard, complete with all the changes that were made. In the commission's words, the official result announced in the ring at the conclusion of the Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Silvana Gomez Juarez bout during UFC 281 was correct. Karolina Kowalkiewicz won by unanimous decision. The adjustments made just prior to Bruce Buffer's announcement of the result corrected an initial transcription error made on the consolidated tally sheet. The New York State Athletic Commission staff quickly identified the error and acted promptly to correct it before the final results were announced. With the clarification from the commission, this situation has seemingly been put to rest. So far, no word yet on what's next for Kowalkiewicz, who is now on a 2-fight winning streak. Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.